Hey, Perfect Lappers. Before this episode starts, I want to give a quick shout out to Robert Raduechel. That's Ryan's grandfather. Ryan's grandfather was one of his biggest supporters and a regular on the pit crew at all of Ryan's races. He was a vibrant soul in the paddock and knew a face everywhere he went. We want to give a quick moment of silence in his honor as he passed away a couple weeks ago between us recording this episode with Ryan and the time that it's actually going out. We hope that you will take this time and remember those who are important in our own lives as well. We can't do this without the help of so many, including people just like Ryan's grandfather. So, in the words of Grandpa Raduechel, make sure the wheels are tight. Hope you all enjoyed this episode and be sure and send Ryan a word of encouragement.
Welcome back to the Perfect Lap Podcast. I'm Mark Jager. This is Mark Kilgore. He goes by Kilgore. I go by Jager. And today we have the savior of the Miatas, a man on a mission to prove that Miata is always the answer, even if that means he's putting an LS motor into it and completely raw dogging this thing with no electronic aids. We got Ryan Raduechel. Ryan, how's it going, sir? How is your day rolling?
It's good. We're just getting loaded up, getting ready for Southwest Speed Festival down in Arizona. Got to see how it goes. First time there, new track. We'll see.
So you signed up for Southwest Speed Fest. I'm just gonna quickly talk about this because you mentioned it. Southwest Speed Fest. We got that. We're literally filming this the Wednesday before. And so I'm actually super excited for you because you have the ability, you have the time, you have the patience per se to sit down with us the Wednesday before an event. So you're heading out tomorrow, I believe.
Tomorrow morning, yeah.
Yep. So he's headed out tomorrow. So this means this man is ready. This car is packed and ready to get to this event. And he's
That is impressive. Truly impressive.
I'm just saying.
Yeah, you guys be real surprised. We were loaded up a week early before Grid Life and actually went to a couple car shows with it.
See, man,
Miata
I mean, you're making Time Attack look easy over there.
Yeah, hey, we make it look easy until we get to the track, and then we're changing motors and transmissions and whatever else we're working on. So yeah.
So what are you looking for? What are you looking forward to in terms of Southwest Speed Fest? Obviously, you say you haven't been. This is your first year. They've got a number of entrants, about 80 entrants. What class are you running, and sort of, what are you looking forward to with that event?
So we're in the race group, which is unlimited, basically like an unlimited class, production based, VIN numbered cars on slicks, no horsepower to weight ratio. So it's run what you brung if you started with the VIN numbered car. Man, I don't know what we're looking forward to, other than it's just a new event, new track. Always fun to go to new tracks. It's hard. Obviously, we all know it's hard to learn a track in 3 days and hope to be competitive against the guys that's their backyard, that have been there countless times. Just like when they come to our backyard, you can't learn a track in a day. So it's going to be an uphill battle, but I have spent some time on Caseta Corsa doing some laps. I don't know how accurate it is, obviously, but I think I at least know when to turn left and when to turn right. So that should be hopefully a step in the right direction. We do have practice Friday, so we're going to put some laps in Friday. Just making laps, not really trying to push anything. Just see how many laps we can get in and.
Well, I know I give you, Jager, all you California guys a hard time, but this is the time of year where we all have to eat our words, because right now I'm like iced in, even in Nashville, Tennessee, iced in, snowed in, can't do anything, and you guys are getting ready to go to do Time Attack. So I am definitely jealous, and I'm so happy that you guys down there are still able to get out, right? Like, this is the good time of year for you guys, good weather. So remind me, we talked to Ravi last year, one of the guys who sort of heads this program, this event up. But I It's been a year. I don't really remember all the specifics. What is the track? It's in Arizona? Where is the track? Can you give me a little bit of information on
It's
that?
Yeah, so the track's in Casa Grande, which is between Tucson and Phoenix.
That's right.
Uh,
Yeah.
it's looks like it's in the middle of the desert to me. I don't know. Uh, it
It is.
That's
honestly,
what
It
we
is.
do,
to
baby.
me
We put things smack dab right in the
it
middle.
looks like
Well, because I remember Ravi saying that they bought up like something like 3,000 acres around it or
yeah,
whatever. So like that, there's nothing around it.
right. Yeah, it's it when I've seen people's in-car cameras, like it has a lot of like Buttonwillow vibes of just nothing out there, some foothills, just dirt. So I don't know. We'll see. Um,
And what's it
it's
called? Like,
uh Podium Club.
That's right. Right. Podium Club. All right.
Yep.
And
So
do you normally do some sim stuff when you get ready to go to new tracks? Is that sort of part of your normal
yeah,
program to get ready?
yeah. So when we went to Daytona in 2021 for the NASA Nationals, my brother and I both ran that in Thunder Roadsters, and we spent a good bit of time on iRacing, running the Legend cars because that's basically the closest thing you're going to get to a Roadster. Um, and Daytona's not in a low horsepower car like that. Daytona's not, you know, it's not a challenging track because you're on the big NASCAR track for 3/4 of a lap. So it's just put it in sixth gear and hammer down. So that wasn't too big of a deal. But a track like this, it's gonna be it's gonna be a challenge for sure. It does have some tight like S's, and it's got some real tight hairpins. And if you screw up the last corner getting on the front straightaway, like that front straightaway is long, so you'd killed the whole front straightaway. So it'll be interesting, but we'll
What's
just have to
your
get up.
what's your like mentality going into that? Like, obviously, you said you spent some time on the simulator trying to get your head wrapped around that. Obviously, there's probably not an LS powered a lot of aero Miata in Assetto Corsa that can really like help you build up confidence there. So
No,
how do you get that confidence? How is your mental state going into that?
to be honest with you, when I do a track like that on Assetto, I'm doing like I'll run like the GT86, like a low horsepower street tire car, and to me it helps better with you know using a momentum car than like a point and shoot car, because it, it's just to me it's easy to get in a point and shoot car and like, oh, I'm fast. It's like if you get into the slower car, you can I feel like you can work on the line better. You can work on the braking zones a little bit better. I mean, my car is the Miata. It's a fast car, but it's not like a big mile per hour fast car. So I still have to. A lot of it is still momentum based. We're making under 500 horse. So it's not like we're not we're not seeing 180 miles an hour at most places, or anywhere I should say. So I still have to drive it like a momentum based car a lot of times. So
It is very interesting, a concept of I put an LS in my Miata, and I still have to think of it in the time attack world as a slower or a lower horsepower, momentum-based car that I have to kinda, really push around the track. So give us a little insight. Give us a little quick insight into the Miata. Give us a little history lesson into how it became what it is today.
So this car this is like version 2.0. We actually call it uh Miata MIA capital TA 2 because it's like a mini TA2 car because I can't afford a TA2 car, so we built a little mini TA2 car. But
Nice.
this car is like a version 2. Um, Everything that we learned over the years of my first Miata of what not to do, cage work, door bars, seat mounting, driver aggression, all those things that um, really came to light when that first car, we lost the motor in GTA 2023, and the car caught on fire, and my Hans device is hooking on the roof, and it's like it's stupid. So that was kind of that was the end of that car. It was like I'm not going to cut the cage out and build a new cage and we'll just start with a fresh platform. And then that kind of snowballed into, I always wanted the headers that go over the top of the bell housing and they go into the passenger side compartment and the exhaust goes out the door. It's just cool stuff. So it's like, well, if we're gonna do it, we might as well do it. And that's where this car came from. But all the groundwork was laid with the previous car. The subframes came out of that car, the suspension, the brakes, everything came from that first car, and it just got transplanted to the new chassis. That it's just a
And
better build.
how long did you have the first car and develop that? And what was its final form in terms of classes?
So I got that car. I'd have been 18, 2008 or so, around there. I daily drove that car for a long time.
That's cool.
1.6 car, 1990. And then at one point, obviously we all know Miatas are slow, so it's like, so then I did a turbo 1.6. We, forged bottom end, all the stuff, and it was like,
It was faster,
it was
but not
faster.
fast.
Right. It was faster, but it wasn't fast. Transmissions became obviously the weak point. So it's like, you're putting 5 speeds in it all the time. That you put a 6-speed in it, the 6-speed holds the power, but it's just a garbage transmission. It shifts terrible. It's notchy.
Yes.
Uh,
Yes, it is.
and then we were out cruising one night because I was still driving the thing on the street. Was fully caged, but I was still driving it.
Around you picking up chicks in your Miata, your caged Miata.
Picking up
No,
dudes. Picking up
No,
dudes.
yeah,
You
I
missed
picked
that
up
one.
yeah, going to the hair salons, but no, there was a cam only headers and a stalled F body Camaro, and we were just screwing around on the freeway, going to a car meet or something, and that thing, I'm in this high strung turbo 1.6 thing, just a whatever, and this cam only LS with headers and the whatever, it just dog walked me, and I'm like, I'm done, and that was we're putting a freaking V8 in this thing because this is stupid, and
So let's kind of take note here. One, you already started with Miata as the answer, and then everybody knows that the second answer is LS or V8. So you're now
correct.
going 2 for 2 on
We're
the
2 for 2.
correct answers.
We're 2 for 2. Well,
All
then
right.
the third correct answer was boost is always the answer, I think.
Yeah.
More
So I'm
horsepower,
like,
always the answer. Yeah.
so I thought in my mind, how cool would it be to build 1,000 horsepower LS Miata, and that's what I set out to do, not having any clue of the what it takes to make 1,000 horsepower.
The
Truly,
magnitude of what you just laid out, like
right, and man, and especially with I don't have an unlimited budget, so it's like I started with a 5.3 iron block motor. We had like an on 3 88 millimeter turbo in it. And it was just so it was like, what are we doing? And I put the radiator in the trunk, and we, just all these goofy things. And then somehow we got into doing shift sector, half mile drag racing.
really?
Yeah. So the biggest obstacle was when I built this car, I always wanted a 4-speed dog box. I never had a T56. I never had a T5. I never had nothing. That car went with a 4-speed dog box from the get go, because I just wanted one. And obviously, not having overdrive and fourth being 1-to-1 and a typical Miata size tire, 23 inches tall, it doesn't work very well for trying to go fast without ringing the sod out of the motor.
What was the top speed on that thing?
So we actually, I think in 2008, 17, 18, something like that, I actually won the unlimited class at shift sector at Coalinga. We went 175 miles an hour.
Oh wow. Okay. I was thinking like 140, 150 or something maybe.
No, it was scooting.
Okay.
But the trick to that was we put some like 27-inch tall bias ply slicks on the back of it, cut the, went under with a hammer and a grinder and cut out the rear fenders and, made it work. But that was how we got the mile an hour, was just putting the taller tire on it. And then it was cool, but honestly, we were trying to go 200. That was the goal, was to go 200. And I will say so the 175 was no aero. We had no wing, we had no front, nothing. It was just a bone stock
Bone
Miata
stock?
with a turbo
That-
LS and a
That
27 inch.
sounds sketch. That sounds
It was
sketch.
wild. I have a video. I grabbed fourth gear and it's about 165 miles an hour, and it lights the tires up, and I end up going in the other lane. And fortunately, I was on a buy run, because that probably could end up bad. So then we went back and we built like one of those low, like the drag wing off the trunk, like the pro stock guys have, and we put parachutes on. We built this swoopy front end and did all this nonsense, and then we did all that and went like 10 miles an hour slower. So I was like, I'm over this stuff. Like, let's go back to road racing, what I wanted to do with the car originally. And so then that had been 2019, because we went to Laguna Seca, and still no aero on the car, and ran like a minute 33, a minute 35, something like, I don't know what it was. 800 horsepower, no aero, spool. It was a handful. But it was, for what the other Miata lap times were, like Ryan Passey's lap time, we were like a couple seconds off, right? And mind you, I'd never done time attack yet. So GTA was coming up the following week, or the following month, I think, at Buttonwillow. And so I signed up for that. So that was actually my first time attack event. And Jager, you were there driving that blue
Super
LS
Beast. Oh,
thing.
you're talking about the Opal.
Opal, yeah. So you were in whatever class that was, the
Pro.
Super
At that
Unlimited.
time, it was called I can't remember, like not Pro Touring or something.
Yeah,
something like
whatever
that.
it was. So yeah, you were there. So that was my very first time attack event. And I tell you what, we went there and I'm like, man, I got this covered. I had no idea the world of hurt we were stepping into, because Sean and his vet were running low 40s, and I think I ran like a 52. No clue, and I'm like, what are we doing here? And it was such a wake up call, but it was kind of like, it was fun. I'm like, this is freaking cool. Like, let's go back to the shop. Let's figure out how to make this thing better. Put the radiator back in the front of the car, because that was the biggest thing we fought, was temperature. Two laps in, we're seeing 240, 250 degree water temp. And that's not ideal. And then COVID hit, so that kind of put that on hold. And I don't know, 2021 came around. I ended up running a full season in the Thunder Roadsters. And then that's year we went back to Daytona. So the car really got put on hold between 2019 and then 2022. I got back into it, but I at some point it clicked in my mind, like, I want to go and run this car wheel to wheel, and a turbo 800 horsepower LS is not a viable option wheel to wheel. So I got rid of all the turbo stuff. We put some long tubes on it and just went and raced it. And honestly, it was fun, because we never popped the hood all weekend. We just run the thing and make laps. Never had much success with it. Just we kept running into other issues with it, and I don't know what happened or what clicked, but it's like, let's go back to trying to do this time attack stuff. So then I bought a 430 horse LS3 crate motor from Chevrolet, and we dumped that thing in, and then it was right back at the time attack, and we've been doing it ever since.
One thing I really like about what you said there, though, is when you first attended that in 2019, right?
Mhm.
I don't want to say you hear this kind of all the time, but you definitely kind of get this vibe from people where, what you build a car, you're like, this car is freaking sweet. This car is going to be awesome. And then
Right.
you're like, oh yeah, I'll be able to be competitive. This will be
Right.
great. And then you show up and then all of a sudden you go, all these people
Right.
and they are good drivers and they are well-built cars.
Right.
And one thing I love about what you said though, is immediately that's one of those things that made you go, I need to get back in the garage. I need to go change stuff. I need to go build
Right.
more. I want to go, because one thing I do dislike sometimes about Time Attack is that people go, the records are too far. People are too fast. I'm out. This is too hard.
Right. Right.
And I'm like, dude, that's what makes it fun. That's
Yeah.
what like should be bringing you back is this
Yeah.
isn't easy. Like if it was easy, everyone would just do it. Like that's the part that I love is that people have to put their, heart, soul, and wallet
Right.
into and completely put themselves out there to be successful in this.
Right.
As they
Well,
should for
yeah.
everything. Here at the Perfect Lab Podcast, we're happy to introduce Whoosh Bespoke Wheels as a sponsor of the show. Whoosh Bespoke was born out of necessity. Their race team struggled to find wheels that offer the perfect fit, strength, durability, and that big old thing, a reasonable price. The people behind Whoosh Bespoke are racers and engineers seeking engineering excellence, and they offer precision forged wheels crafted by racers for racers with a product lineup that includes a wide range of options from monoblock to modular wheels, including 2- and 3-piece wheel designs. All engineered from the finest materials, although they do primarily use 6061 T6 forged aluminum, but they do offer things as high of quality as a magnesium alloy. So this really can work for any setup you're trying to go for. Customization is at the heart of what they do at Whoosh Bespoke. You can tailor your wheels with custom sizes, offsets, finishes, and even options like custom lettering, adding two-tones. Their colors include both standard and premium finishes, as well as special finishes like brushed, hand-polished, and even paint to sample. Every set of wheels produced exceeds the JWL standards and meets the rigorous WCEC quality standards, and they are tested by real people with real cars racing all around the world. And guess what? Me and Kilgore, we're also going to be part of that team. So we're going to be putting these things to the test. We're putting them on our cars. Kilgore's going to be repping out and going through all the Time Attack season. I'm going to be beating them up at HPDE days and just having a good time with them. So I want you to go take a look at them and make sure you give them a follow on all their socials. It's whooshautomotive.com, Whoosh Automotive on all the socials. Go check them out.
Right. And it's hard though in some aspects because there's for like my car, we're on unlimited class obviously on slicks, engine swap, blah blah blah. There's not a lot of competition unless we go to these bigger events like GTA and Grid Life and Southwest Speed Festival. So when we go to a smaller Time Attack event with like On Grid or something, we're gonna win unless the car breaks. So to me, that it kind of loses it when we go to that. And we honestly don't go to a lot of those because it's not just the car's not something I could just like, oh, let's just go take it out to a track day. It's an endeavor. It's we all know Hoosiers ain't cheap. And A7 Hoosiers are, after them first couple laps, they lost their magic. So it's like it's really hard to spend $2,000 on a set of tires when we're already 5 or 6 seconds faster than the next fastest car. But then we go to the big events and it's like, Dassault shows up and Ferris shows up and, the big name guys show up and it's like, okay, here's the, here's the bar and that's what we
Here's the
try
real
to beat.
challenge.
Correct. Because, and we have a Miata Facebook record page for, whatever, all the tracks people. And every track we've been to, I have the record. Besides Fontana, we went to Fontana one time before it closed, and I don't know, kind of one of the deals. Like I'd never been there before, and we showed up for one day, and I didn't get it done. But every other track we've gone to, I have the record. So it's like, but it's neat to have those records, but it's better to go like at GTA last year. I would have, even though Ferris wasn't there, he was there the year before, and he ran a 40, whatever he ran, I don't remember. But
Yeah.
my goal last year was I knew Ferris wasn't going to be there, but was to still go run faster than Ferris. Because he's obviously the bar that we're all trying to beat. And we didn't get there, but there's always next time. But
Well, and I think that's a good way to approach it, though, right? Like, I like to ask people a lot, like, hey, do you guys have a rival? Hey, do you have a guy that you're always looking at to kind of, to put yourself up against?
right,
And that's what you're doing, right? It's
Right.
easy because it's very quantifiable. There is a lap time.
right,
I could go, hey, Kilgore, I'm going to go and I want to beat your lap time. I want to compare myself to you. And whether or not you're in the same car, you're in the same class, doesn't even matter.
right,
It can
right,
just be as simple as like, I want to beat that guy,
right,
and you have a lap time to go chase, and
right.
you can chase that lap time into infinity until you beat him or, don't.
Or you give,
And I think
yeah,
that's, yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
yeah,
Well, and I think
yeah,
like I think Ryan, you're kind of in an interesting spot where, um, because as you were saying it, right, like you were talking about you go to some of the smaller events, right, where you show up and you barely even have to break a sweat, right? Like on your warm up lap or on your, on your cool down lap, you're probably setting times faster
right.
than everyone out there, right? Like you don't have to really put a lot of effort into it, and that's okay. And that's to say nothing of the people there, right?
No, yeah, no,
They're all doing what they love to do, but you show up to the big events, the GTA, the Grid Life, GTA Finals, Grid Life Laguna, and that's where, right, like that's where you really start to look at all the other competitors around you, and that's where you're sort of right, like your competitive
right.
spirit really kind of kicks
Oh,
into
yeah,
drive
oh,
there. But what I was gonna say is that you're in an interesting position because I feel like when you go to some of the smaller events, you're probably that big name for everyone else to try and chase, right?
yeah, yeah,
But then you go to GTA Finals and you're looking at the big names to try and chase. So I think that that's pretty cool where you can kind of play both of those. You're both setting the pace at some of these smaller events, but then
right.
also still chasing people at the bigger events. So I think that's pretty cool that you're able to do that with do both of that with your car.
Yeah, yeah, and and like you said, it definitely, when we go to the big events, it definitely does bring out that competitiveness that, I know. Yeah, you're talking to me. You guys talking to me at GTA, and Mark is like, "Man, you're first in unlimited, but it looks like somebody just kicked your dog." And I'm like, "Yeah, because we're the goal was to go sub 40. That was the whole reason we wanted to be there, and we ran at 43. So it's like I just was not having a good time, but
Yeah.
but
Which is
it just
which is so funny. Like it's that is probably one of the worst things about Time Attack is you took first place in Unlimited and you left the event pissed,
oh, I
right?
did. Yeah,
Like, oh, that's that hurts. That really hurts.
yeah, I know.
Well,
That's
and I want to touch on one thing real quick. So you obviously ran in Speed Ventures Miata Time Attack Championship. Um,
right.
I got a couple friends that are currently running in that championship.
Hmm.
And I believe they just did it last weekend at Buttonwillow.
Yeah, that was the first one last weekend.
Yeah, and so I really want to thank, I have to thank people like Speed Ventures for hosting those events, because
Yeah,
those events are what get people to grow. Like, I have one buddy who took first place in one of the classes, and another guy that I know in an NC Miata, he just took first place in his class. And it's like, but those are the guys that are going to continue and build, right? They're building their cars
right,
to
right,
get to the global time attacks and stuff like
right,
that in the future.
right,
It's the growing series, and I think those series, in my opinion, Some of those series that people like Grid Life, the Time Attack things that they put on, Speed Ventures, the Time Attack stuff they put on, they need to be cultivated a little bit more. They need to be talked about and they need to be understood because
Yeah.
that is what's growing for the Grid Lifes and the GTAs of the future. Because that's how I came up, right? Like
Right.
I competed in localized time attack competitions that were very, in my case, it was a all-wheel drive competition basically between Mitsubishis and Subarus, and that's what I competed in, and then that's what got
Right.
me interested to move to that next level. So, you know, and that's where I was gonna say and it very much echoes what Kilgore said, is you showing up, and as much as I do understand completely, like once my Subaru got built to a certain level, it was like, it doesn't really make sense for me to bring this car out here. But at the same time, like when I did randomly decide to like bring it out for those events or be around those events, um, it is something for those guys in their building early stages to look at your car and go, I want to get there.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. Right.
That's where I want. And you become their icon. You become what they want to build towards. And I'm I'm not trying to like celebritize or anything like that, but it's one of those things where, just keep that stuff in mind as we move forward, because you're going to have those guys and they're going to come up to you and they're going to talk to you and talk your ear off and
Yeah.
want
Oh,
to
yeah.
know every little thing.
Yeah.
What bolts are you putting on this and how are you, and
Right.
that's,
And
it's a beautiful thing.
and that's how we've always been racing. Like when we were younger, my brother and I racing, we would go to the track, and everything we've ever done is an open book. Like if you want to look at the car, if you want to ask us what suspension, what camber, caster, toe, what gear, whatever you want to know, it's an open book. And my brother he is he is the guy that will talk your ear off, So when we get people that come up and they're interested in the car, he's on it, and he has all, he'll talk to somebody for an hour, and it's awesome because they're so vested in learning and getting the information and taking that back and digesting it, and like you said, how do I get there? Where do we go from here? So it is really neat, and I wish we did more events with the SoCal Miata Championship last year, but obviously we're up in Northern California, so it's just a little bit more of a drive. But they do have a NorCal Championship starting up this year for
Nice.
Sonoma, Laguna, Thunder Hill, I think. So we'll have a Northern Championship as well. It's like a sister type series event, I think. So we'll maybe try to get to some of those
That's
this
awesome.
year.
Well, it's great to hear is exactly what Jaeger was saying. Like, it's great to hear that for the community, right, that you guys are getting out there and and I hope that everyone in the community is kind of takes that to heart in terms of what you guys do, right? And I think most people do.
Yeah.
People want to come up, talk to you, and we're always more than happy to talk about our car. And I think, obviously, we have some, seasoned veteran kind of people who listen to the podcast. I think we also have a number of other, people who are just starting out or maybe just starting to get interested in time attack. So if you're one of those listeners, look for the speed ventures, look for the on grid, look for
Yeah.
SCCA, Jaeger, if you have any other, or Ryan, if you have any others that you want to throw out, like those are great kind of starter programs, if that's what we want to call it, right? Great ways to get on track, learn how to, learn what you need to learn about being on track, track etiquette, all those sort of things. And then you can work your way up into the Global Time Attack or the Grid Life, or even some of the bigger SCCA events like SCCA Nationals in Texas, where those are definitely a bit more pressure, a bit more high intensity, right? Open passing, right? Like there's sort of a lot more going on. So,
Yeah.
Jaeger, I like what you sort of said there, for people who want to kind of start somewhere and then move up, those are great sort of starter series or feeder series. I don't know if you guys know of any other good ones for people to kind of look out for based on where they're at.
Yeah, I mean, you obviously you have NASA,
Sure.
you have
Yep.
their TE program and their TT stuff, and it's so much more affordable to just start out, and to sign up for like an on grid or a Speed SF or Speed Ventures, or like I think when we went to Thunderhill West last May or April, whenever it was, I think entry fee was $295, and that's pretty hard to beat. When
Ain't
you
that
show
the
up
truth?
to Grid Life Laguna and it's $1,300 just to register, and then you got your sticker package on top of that and crew passes, and you're talking $2,000 just before you even hit the track. So it's just to hit the smaller events, and even if you're not going to go to Time Attack, if you're just gonna go to a track day, like those guys are, they're great. The Speed Venture guys are awesome. On grid guys are awesome. They're all super nice people. They're all so helpful. It really is such a community that these guys have built. You know, on grid, they do their uh they do their they have like a and it's like NASA used to do, and I don't know if they still do, but like Saturday nights they have free barbecue, free booze, and it's just a good time, and everyone gets together and swapping race stories, or playing on the arcade or whatever they got going on. It truly is it's such a neat thing that these people do.
Hell yeah, man. And that's what it's about. Like the community portion of it is such a huge factor. Without the community portion, I think a lot of this racing would just die into a
Yeah. Oh
quick
yeah.
bit.
Yes. Yeah. Yeah.
So
If you're going there and you feel singled out, or you don't have, whatever, it's not fun. It's not enjoyable, and that's why when we go to the track, we're always, whether we're talking to somebody about the car or whatever, like, or helping people, we're always there. Like, we bring we bring a welder, we bring nitrogen tanks, we bring the full toolbox, grinders.
That's awesome.
We're
so
there. I can't tell you how many times I've gone to the track. I've not even worked on my own stuff, but I got the welder out and I'm welding on somebody else's car, or we're cutting something off or whatever. But it's to be there and to be able to help and help people get through the rest of the weekend. It really is a kind of a
Yeah.
gratifying feeling.
Competitor or not, right? I mean, we all
Yeah.
don't
Oh
really
yeah.
care who it is.
Yeah. Well, that's um Josh Briggs came out from Atlanta last year for
oh,
Chris in his Miata, and he launched that thing over the corkscrew. And it was like, whatever I have, if you can use it, use it. And we're in the same class. We're both in unlimited. We're both in Miatas. We're both going for you know uh the podium, or the whatever they call it, the podium shootout or whatever.
Grant, yeah.
Uh, and it's like he could have gone out there and beat me and bumped me out or whatever, but it doesn't matter. It's like he came across the country. He's gonna race, whether, well, one way or the other. That car was getting back out there. So and he had a worse weekend than I did, but at least he still got to finish it. So that was neat. That was neat.
Well, Ryan, you say the word "we" a lot.
Yeah.
Everything that you say about you and your racing, you say "we." So I want you to kind of give us an idea. What is "we"? What is the team? Who are they? How do they work with the car, with the team? And give the team love.
We is 90% me and my brother. Obviously I have my fiance Cambry. She's always supportive of this uh hobby
Crazy
nonsense,
never.
whatever you want to
Mhm.
call it. My
As we
parents,
all
my
need.
grandparents, they're all supportive, and I got friends that come to the track. They help out. Will, Matt, my brother-in-law. So we is like a family thing. It's I got I got help from Icon Pistons. Wes at Icon, they jumped on board, and those guys help out quite a bit. Johnny at Nine Lights Racing, all the aero on the cars, all Johnny stuff. But as far as like the preparation and the track work and going to the track and all that stuff, we is 90% of the time is me and my brother. He's he has free reign to do whatever he wants on the car. He's put as much time and effort and sweat into it as I have. So um I get to the shop sometimes and there's times I'm like, what are you doing? But at the end of the day, we have the same goal, and that's to go faster. Um, whether it's whatever, making, he's made carbon fiber bits on the car to, we'll pop something out or whatever, and he'll make a carbon blank or he'll just start drilling holes. But like I said, it's all we have the same goal, and that's to be competitive and to try and win these events and go as fast as we can. So
Nice.
and
Does your brother ever drive the car to kind of see what's going on with it?
no, I've I tried to get him into it a couple times. He's a little bit shorter than I am, so we'd have to maybe move the seats. But we'll get him in here at one point. And I've been, to be honest with you, I've tried to ask several people if they want to go drive the car, because it's nice to get input from other people to go, because
Yes, it
somebody
is.
else might drive and go, dude, what are you doing? Oh, I don't know if I
Yeah.
cuss, sorry. Because when it's just me, I know what I want, but somebody else could drive and go, dude, if you just did XYZ, you might knock off 4 seconds. You know,
Absolutely.
I haven't gotten anybody to get to to get in and drive it yet, but one of these days I will. So if
Yeah,
you guys want to come drive it,
it's always an
you let me know.
interesting game there. I mean, it's always an interesting game there because I mean, for me, for instance, like you're always you are looking to have other people like early on with my Subaru, a guy that I like super trusted and not only trusted with the car but more so like trusted with his inputs. A friend of mine, Ken Kazitz. So I would have him ride with me or
Mhm.
like ask him to drive the car and and I will say like when the car got built like really, really built. One regret that I have is that I never had him drive the car at that level
Right,
because I really, really wish that he would have to like you said, right? To get that level of input, to
right.
say, hey, hey, if we did this, this, and this, like and because you just get like for me, I know one of my big problems as a driver I will drive around problems with the car. I will
Oh
just
yeah,
be like, "Well, that's how the car is," and we've said it on the podcast before, and I'll just drive around it, and and I'll get very comfortable with it, so I'll just know what the problem is, and that's fine. And sometimes it's a little bit of I call it driver stupidity, where it's like I don't know how to solve it, so I leave the answer to be, "Well, it's okay. I'll just drive around it."
yeah.
Um,
You leave it to it is what it is
yep,
type deal. And I'm
and
guilty of that. Yeah,
And so I agree with you. It is nice. And even if, and I go down this path, even if it's not to have someone drive the car 10, because people generally think that when you say that, it's like, I want Kilgore to jump in the car because I want him to go run 10 tenths and I want him to go see if he can go faster than me.
right.
Nothing to do with that. Like, I don't care if the person's going, 8 tenths and it's like a 5 second slower lap time. Just get a feel for the car and what the car is doing and at least they can give you some level of feedback to say like, "This is a death trap. What are you doing?"
Well, to be honest with you, I think that's why nobody has gotten in the car, is because it doesn't have ABS, it doesn't have traction control, it's a H pattern shifter, and it's a 450 horse in a 2,300 pound Miata. So people look at it like, no, I don't think I want to drive that. But I tell people all the time, it's not. It's really like, if the thing made 800 horse, yeah, it'd be something to be a little bit cautious about. But it's really not that big of a deal. It's a little bit more spicy. So I put a spool in it. We took one that slip out and put a spool in it. So that throws people off, I think. But um, yeah, I think that's why I haven't been able to get anybody else to hop in it and make some laps. But um, yeah, I don't know. Like you said, it's so easy to just, it is what it is, and drive around the problem. We put radios in the car. The idea with the radios in the car was so I could jump on the radio if like, hey,
Instant
through
feedback.
here, boom, it's doing this. But I can't do it. It's so hard to be going 10 tenths or going whatever and come out of a corner and go, hey, I need to get on the radio and tell my brother it did this. I just it never worked out like I thought it was going to work out. We mainly just use it for like uh checking
I'm on
tire
fire.
tunes. Yeah, I'm on fire. Yeah. Hey, I didn't come around. The motor blew up. I'm on fire. Uh, but more for just like, especially when we get into traffic, it's like, hey, come in, we'll get
Yep.
you a gap, go back out type stuff. But um, yeah, but like you said, it's very easy to just what the thing's doing, and it's like, and then you just drive around it. But if you could just fix it, that might be worth quite a bit of time. But we're all learning, I guess.
Yeah, it's tough. And talking to a lot of drivers in the paddock, I will say, Ryan, an interesting conversation with you is you're very mechanically knowledgeable. You articulate well what you believe the car is doing. So from that standpoint, I would 100% believe that you're able to understand where the car's at and what it's doing. But again, like you said, it is one of those things where sometimes it's just great to have a second, set of hands and feet in the
Right.
car, a little button seat, and that can just be such a learning experience as a whole. So,
Right.
we'll find you a driver to hop in there and give you some
Yeah.
feedback to see what they like and
Yeah.
what they don't
Yeah. 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 That's I if it's nuts and bolts and whatever, like, yeah, I I feel like I have that mechanical knowledge. But when it comes to tuning a car, don't ask me nothing.
like.
We all have our limits.
There are things that I say are just it's beyond my limitations. Um, I know, and I hate talking about this, but it always goes down that road of like when I had my car, my buddy Ken, he was the guy that tuned the suspension. Paul was the guy who tuned the motor. Um, and I could have never done it without those guys. Like
Yeah.
if I would have just had to show up at the track and been like, just drive this Subaru around, it would have been knocking and detonating and
Oh
all
yeah.
these things would
Oh
have
yeah.
been happening and I would have been so screwed. And Ken was helping me, the good thing is we had a good relationship of coming in and sitting down and articulating like what the car was doing. And the
Right.
scary thing is I still look back at all of that and I go, God, when I watch my videos back now, I go, wow,
Oh,
like
I know. Oh, I know. 100%. Yeah. I do that too. I go back. I'm like, like my lap from 2024 at Grid Life. I'm thinking, how is this a 27 flat? This is the worst lap I've ever driven around. I mean, it's like, what are you doing? Missing shifts. When I grabbed fourth gear, it's like I missed it and it's just on the limiter. I'm like, what? How is that a 27.0? And then,
Yeah, there goes half a second at least.
yeah, and it's like, and you go back and you watch the other lap and you're like, that was a smooth lap. Oh, it was a 29. You're just like,
Yeah,
it's to be very frustrating, but
yeah.
I'm just saying, Ryan, go back, go look at my video from 2016 at Buttonwillow. I at going through bus stop, I had to change the camera angle when I did that video because I was like, man, I screwed that up and I missed a shift. And then coming into the final turn into Sunset, I didn't get the car slowed down enough. And like, so that was a 41 lap that in the
yeah,
data is a 39.
right.
And you're
Yeah, that's
just like
fast.
looking at it and you're just pissed.
Yeah.
That's
Like
why
Oh, I
we
know.
always come back next year. We're like, I got to come back next year.
Yeah. Yeah.
100%.
Yeah. Well, that was, when I go back and look at my lap from 24 at GTA, like I don't know why I felt like I was just on a mission. Like we had a rapid chase with Paris, and it was like I turned that thing up to 100, and then you know I. But again, and you can go back and watch, and it's like coming out of bus stop. I dipped the right sides off. And it's like that you can just watch the speed just going, the lap time just going the wrong way, and it's like it's yeah, it could be frustrating.
So here's a quick question. What are the tools that you use to evaluate your lap time, and what is the best method that you are able to pick up and figure out where you're losing or gaining the best amount of time?
So last year I bought a AIM Smarty Cam. Before
I
that,
was about to say, dude, if you just said this is the first year I bought an AIM Solo or something, I was about to.
no, it is. We've never ran anything before. And before I got that, and even now that I have it, I look at it and I can look at that and go, yeah, I lost 2/10 there, I lost 3/10 there, or I picked up, but I haven't gotten to the point yet where I can look at that data and go, this is what I need to do the next time out there to make that data worth truly having. Like at this point,
That's
I
that's
have the
scary.
data.
I'm gonna
I
Ryan, and I say this is scary because you are blisteringly fast as you sit in that chair today.
Yeah,
You are blisteringly fast, and I've seen you drive, and I have watched your videos, and your car control skills and everything else that you have going for you as a driver is off the charts. And it
yeah.
is crazy to me to sit here and talk to you and go, this man hasn't even scratched the surface.
I you know
He hasn't even cracked the wrapper on the Milky Way.
I I
And
I
my
you know
God,
I try, and that's so Will has been, he's been really helpful with when I see him at the track. I'm like, hey, look at my laptop, look at the like, look at the data, and he's
are you
like
talking
a
about Will
wizard with
Dree?
that stuff, huh?
Who
And
will?
Will Will uh
Are you going to say
Will
Guantanamo Curry?
no Will with the he was running the
Drees?
yeah, with the running the, was it the
The
Kia or
Hyundai.
the Hyundai?
Hyundai.
Yeah,
The
yeah.
Hyundai.
Yeah, yeah.
Okay.
So he's been really helpful with trying to show me how to use the AIM software and to use Race Studio and to do the overlays and all that stuff.
It is
Um,
not intuitive.
it is not. I feel like and it's hard because it's like if you don't do it all the time,
Yep. Yep.
it's like.
Even
But the
worse.
neat thing that I found out that uh, Assetto Corsa actually has an output for Race Studio, so you can do laps on Assetto and then pull it up in Race Studio, and then you can actually still continue to learn how to use it without being at the track. Um, but again, it's hard for me to, Will can look at the scatter plots for the X, Y, longitude, latitude, and go, oh, you like to do this, and I'm like, yeah, I mean, okay, I don't know, but honestly, until grid life last this 2025 grid life, I didn't even run the gauges in the car. We just no shift light, no tack, no uh we we just go off of sound, and if the thing loses oil pressure, I mean, at the end of the day, what are you going to do anyways? Why are we looking at it? That's kind of how we've always looked at things. um but I have a race pack dash in the car now just because it's, I'm a racer and it looks cool. It's blue and it's bright. It's got all the warning lights on it and it's got shift lights. I'm like, man, what are we doing here? But yeah, no, it's funny when, I mean, not now, but because it's got the dash in the car. But before then, people would walk up to the car and be like, "Where's your tack? Like, where's your shift lights? Where's your solo? Where's your this?" I'm like, I don't have none of that. And I've always looked at the solo as a distraction, because honestly, if you look at that thing and you go purple or whatever it does, lights are changing, you're on a personal best or whatever, what are you going to do different besides screw up because you're trying too hard now?
It's added
You know,
pressure.
it's added
That
pressure.
What? Here's the awesome thing, Ryan. You can turn it off. You can turn the lights off.
Well, I mean, I didn't
You
know that.
know?
No, I don't know.
Well, I mean, I
It
get
is
where
at least nice to see like a lap time as you come across, so you can know like, oh, okay, that was a X lap, versus whatever. I mean, some confirmation every once in a while can be a little
Yeah,
useful.
but I got my crew chief on the radio and he'll rattle out for me. So
That's fair. That's fair.
that's
I mean, don't get me wrong,
he'll
though.
jump on there and say, hey, you got it or you didn't. Go try another lap, or that's it. So, but yeah, I didn't know you could turn lights off. I always just thought it was just this look at me type thing.
I mean, I do understand though, because I've seen too many people go around the first two corners. Oh man, I'm on a heater. And then
Right.
all of a sudden you try to, oh well, I don't want to take too many more chances, or
Right.
oh, I'm gonna take more chances to try to get even more lap time,
Right.
and then they ruin the laps.
Right.
Uh,
That's
Right.
true.
so
That's
I've
true.
seen the double-edged sword of that.
It's
So
Yeah.
you
When it,
you can definitely start chasing the lights,
right.
for sure.
Right. Well,
Or
that's
yeah, as you say, Jaeger, you go red on the lights, and then you start pushing harder to try and
right.
make it back up. At the same time, I do think it can also be useful where you're on a lap and you're seeing that you're down, and you're like, okay, well, there's no point in continuing, right? Like
Right.
I can pull in, I can do tire pressures, I can find some space, I can do whatever, right? Like if you use it smartly, you can make some good decisions about what you
Right.
need to do strategy wise.
absolutely,
Yeah.
100%.
Yeah. And it is funny because like even in a Seto or iRacing or whatever, like I don't run the Delta even on that just because it's just like I'll run it in practice if we're doing practice laps, but once we get into qualifying or race, I turn it off because to me it's just a distraction. But I definitely
Well,
do see the advantage of yeah, if you burn that lap, there's no point in running the last 3/4 of the lap, back that thing down, let the tires cool off, and then maybe go hit it again. But
yeah. I don't think I've ever been more impressed to see someone make it this far in their time attack career with this little
hey man, I
with
I
this little input of you guys have been using. That is
I
impressive. Truly impressive, Ryan.
I joke about it all the time, and I'm a hillbilly that's like, here's a carbureted small block 350, and we're right here. You know what I mean? Like there's there's that car is as bare bones as it can be, and at one of these days that fuel injection stuff is gonna piss me off when I'm gonna put a carburetor on it, just because I know how to tune that. We put some jets in it, and away we go. But yeah, it's I don't know. There's just something. There's just something I don't know. I don't know why I'm just I don't want ABS. I don't want traction control. I don't want a sequential. I know it's faster. I'm not dense. I know that it's faster, but I just you know I don't know. To me it's
You want to keep the challenge. You like the
it's a
challenge. You like the
yeah
chase.
it's a challenge.
I mean,
It's a challenge. It's man. I'm like when you're grabbing gears in H pattern mid turn, it's freaking cool. I mean, I'm not doing this on a paddle shifter. We're out there grabbing gears and still, you know, still pretty competitive, even with you know, the caliber of cars that we've raced against at the big event. So, is that
Well,
is that
you're doing something right. I mean, you're
yeah,
first place in Unlimited this year. You're on the podium at Grid Life Laguna. I mean, it's obviously a recipe that is working for you, and that is what matters most.
right, right, and that's where I do think about it. I do think like, hey, if we did put ABS in this car, or if we did put traction control, is that going to bridge that gap? At what point have I got to the point where like we can't go faster than what we have now? Or you got to start, you got to start, relying on those aids. And I don't know if we're there yet. I think we need to spend more time. I think now looking back at it, you know, I built that big motor last year because I thought, well, if we just had a little bit more power, that was going to be the answer. And looking back at that now, I think that was a mistake. I think we should have spent more time just on developing the car with the power that it had and just get it to where it was consistent every time. If we could have went out there and ran 42s at Buttonwillow with 430 horsepower, lap after lap after lap, then it's like, okay, now we can use more power. But I think I jumped the gun on that. And I think that was something that bit me last year, just trying to chase that motor and all the problems that we had with it. Um, so we're
So, what are you looking at doing this for this year, or any changes to the car plans, things like that?
So the 6.2's back in it, the crate motor's back in it. We're dropping the 440 off at Flag Motorsports down in Southern California on the way to Podium. They're gonna go through it and try and hopefully figure out the oil pressure issue before that thing blows up. So, I feel like I'm at this crossroads right now. I I do think at some point we're gonna need more horsepower if we're gonna try and get to these higher, the higher
Are
caliber
we
cars.
going to go turbskis? Going to go back to some turbo power?
So that's where I'm at right now. So, um, I've been in kind of talks with the guys at Garrett, or not Garrett, Turbo Sergeant, about what what would be the best turbo for the application, um, what size, because where the turbo would be placed, it would be back in the passenger side compartment, right off the collectors. So there's all these things we got to consider, cooling it, water cooled, oil cooled, intercooler. There's so much, it
The
makes
extra piece
makes
of the puzzle.
yeah. I mean, don't get me wrong. Once it's in there and the system's ironed out and all the details are finalized, yeah, it's gonna make great power. But it's gonna be another stepping stone, another stage of teething to get all these problems worked out. Where it's like the other avenue is I've already spent all this money on this 440 that should on paper make 800 horsepower. If I just get it fixed, we just stick that thing back in there and go run it. Um, so I don't know. I'm
And
just
less complex, power all
it's
the time.
it's power all the time. It's less complex. You know, there's there's definitely pluses and minuses to both of them. I do feel like, and I hate saying it, but I do feel like the turbo route is going to be more of like a wow factor, and I think that's that's such a driving force in all the stuff that we do is like how it just looks cooler, it sounds cooler. Oh, you got a turbo LS Miata, time attack, whatever. Like it just has such a more pop to it, where it's like with just an NA LS, it's like, oh, it's just like every other LS Miata. You know what I mean? Like it's
I
it's
will
not
say
that
this:
it's not a
what we saw
440
from
inch. Sorry.
like Alan Patton and those guys supercharging, and the
Yeah.
whine that those things make, and the stairs. I mean, I'm not trying to throw a wrench into the works here, but the amount of stairs that car got when it went down the front straightaway at Coda, people came out of their seats like, "What the hell is this?"
Screaming, yeah.
Um, dude.
Yeah, well, I mean, I already have I got the screaming noise from the quick change and the dog box. The thing already howls like a freaking like something. But yeah, I don't know.
If you
It's
stay NA though, you know what I want to see on your car? Every time I look at your car, I think the air filter. You need to go to whatever. I think the drifters have it, and it's like this square
I,
formed
I
air filter that just
I
pops
have
on
one.
top. You
I have
do?
one. Yeah, we
When?
we we ran it. We ran it the first year at Grid Life, and I couldn't see over the thing.
Oh, so we just got to get you taller. We need to get you a booster seat.
Yeah, yeah. No, so it's funny you say that. Yeah, I bought that thing, dude. That air filter, carbon fiber top, the square one, that thing's like
Yeah.
it was $900.
No way.
Yes, that's a sprint car air filter. Yeah, it was $900, and we made a base to get it as low as we could. Works around the throttle linkage and all that stuff, but um, so I actually ran it. I ran it that first year at Grid Life Laguna with that filter on, and then we went to Global Time Attack the next month or whatever. And I told my brother, I'm like, dude, I don't know what the problem is, but I cannot, like, I'm good to the left, but I can't see to the right. I'm like, take that thing off. And we took the air filter off and went 3 seconds faster. So that it never went back on. We run that thing with no air filter. It's stupid. Don't get me wrong, but it's got that wire mesh on it to keep the big chunks out. But yeah, no, I have
I
one.
mean,
It's up on the shelf.
I'm looking at a video on your Instagram where you went off into the dirt and it completely encompassed the car.
Uh-huh.
Maybe we should keep an air filter on this thing.
Well, I shut it off before it got out in the dirt, and then I wait for the dirt
Oh.
stuff till we fire it back up.
All right. Fair enough. Fair enough. Quick reactions there.
Yeah.
I will say this. So give us a quick rundown. I mean, we saw some issues happen at finals. Obviously, you walked into the event with some issues, where you decided to rip off half the car and rip off almost your tuner's arm.
Yeah.
But what happened at the track that led you off into that dirt explosion aspect?
The right front upper control arm broke. So
Whew.
I don't know what broke or why it broke. I think those control arms have been in the car since 2017 or so, and I've never replaced them. And it's a tubular upper control arm with Heim joint, so I don't know. I don't know what failed, but the control arm failed, and that was the ride that it went for. Fortunately, because it still all is Miata geometry, I was able to go to the shop there at Bud Willow, and they had a stock control arm, and we stuck that thing in there, and the camera's all screwed up. I couldn't hook the sway bar back up because it hit the stock control arm, but we ran the rest of the weekend like that. So, but yeah, I did forget about we blew up the tire on the dyno and wiped out the quarter and the door and the hard top and
That's a wild dyno video. You guys can go check it out on Ryan. Ryan, what's your Instagram page for all the people?
We didn't have it. Nobody was recording.
Oh man. Okay. I guess it was just the aftermath. You guys took
Yeah,
pictures of
I
the
think it's
aftermath.
probably yeah.
Okay.
Well, that was a start to that was Wednesday before we, Wednesday or Thursday before we were loading up to go down there. I'm like, oh, this is a great way to start the weekend. funny enough, I I just got the quarter panel about 2 weeks ago, the new replacement one. It's been
Nice.
an endeavor to get that quarter panel, but yeah, no, it's got a black quarter panel. It's got a different blue door on it, and then
Oh gosh.
the roof because at one point I spun out. I
I
spun
remember
out
this.
and just going off the track at such speed, the air went through the passenger side window and it just peeled that top off. So it split the top. So we had to pull the wrap off the top and got that all glass back up. So it's not the best looking car right now, but it'll hopefully it'll be fast.
So that brings me to this question, Ryan. We just talked about engines having issues. We talked about oil pressure issues. We've talked about blowing tires on the dyno. We've talked about suspension breaking. What keeps you coming back time after time to attack time? What is
That's
the
it.
thing that just drives you?
Just to try and keep being faster and to we all have that goal. Like the goal is obviously to go sub 40, and honestly, if it's a 139.999, I don't care. We went sub 40. It's like I go to Sonoma. The goal at Sonoma is to run sub 30, would be a 129. Obviously that's incredibly fast.
Because your fastest time there now is a 35?
35.0, yeah. So,
Oof.
but there's the goals that we set, and it's like you want to get to it because you set the goal.
Yep.
And I kind of, going back to, maybe shooting for sub 40 was taking a little bit too much too big of a bite. But I really thought if we just had more power, I thought that was the answer. You know what I mean? Because we ran a 43 flat the year before, and it's like, man, if we just had a little bit more. And I don't know. Maybe we set the goal too high for last year. Maybe work our way up to it, because picking up 3 seconds is that's a big chunk of time.
But I can
Sure.
appreciate that though. Like my problem with people nowadays, I feel, is they're so I don't want to say like they're trying to be too humble. But it's like you're like, hey, what are you trying to do? And, well, I'm just trying to improve. It's
Right.
like, okay, what does that mean? Like, I
Yeah.
like when people set like, because I did it. Uh,
Yeah.
the reason why I have the number 149 that I use on all my cars is because I kept that number because at that time when I was running street class, no one had gone sub 50. So our goal was to go 149. And we came out and we ran a 150 point something. We didn't
Right.
meet our goal. But it was always to remember that you're always striving for more, always
Right.
pushing harder. So I kept the number 149 as a remembrance of like, even though you don't meet your goals, you're always striving for more. Don't, "Oh,
Right.
I know I
Right.
can get to this." I could have
Right.
been like, "Oh, yeah, we're striving for a 150," and I
Right.
knew I could have done it. It's like,
Right.
no, push that goal. I love the fact that you're saying, "I wanna go to a 139, and I wanna go 3 seconds faster," because it's hard. You're saying, "I wanna go 130, sub 130 at Sonoma," knowing that's a 5-second delta where you're currently at. I love that kinda goal setting
Yeah.
because I know it's not easy. That's
Oh,
what
it's
I love.
yeah. Yeah. It's definitely a taste of humble pie when especially when you go slower than you did the year before. What what
Yeah.
happened?
Yeah. Yeah.
But yeah,
That's tough.
but going into last year, it was like that was I didn't I honestly if I ran third in unlimited and I got 140, one sub 140, hey, I'd have put it in the trailer like I won. It would not have
Yeah.
mattered. And that's where, like, yeah, it's cool that we won, but like you said earlier, Kilgore, it's like we went home, upset, because it's like we had a goal to go to do one thing, and it's like it was definitely a slice of humble pie, that's for sure. But and even Laguna was like, my goal for Laguna was to run a 125, and because the year before we ran a 127 flat. Earlier last year, we ran it at the Miata time trial. I ran a 27.2. So I'm like, man, we're right there, with a little bit more horsepower. Here we go with the horsepower thing again. You know, we get that little bit of power when we're going to be there. And it's like, obviously, we never got to make a lap with the more horsepower, but the goal was a 25, and we ran a 28. So it's like, again, we went slower. So it's just, yeah, those last two events, man, it's funny because uh, basically every event that we ran, the on-grid stuff, the speedometer stuff, all the stuff leading up before GTA and grid life were were fantastic. Like, I mean, I had my issues. I spun out at Laguna and beached it in turn 3. Um, so we had some minor stuff, but it wasn't it like the car was fast. I ran well. Um, and I don't know if some of that falls back on me, because I do come from a wheel to wheel background where doing this stuff in one lap or 2 laps or whatever, like, it definitely has a different mindset that you gotta prepare yourself to. Like, you don't have 35 minutes to fix your screw up. Like, you got to get it now, and you got to make sure the tires are right and the brakes are right. And if you don't, you don't. And that's where I've had a lot of, I'm not gonna, I guess struggle is the right word. I've had a lot of struggle with, especially in the format like Grid Life has, where you get that podium shootout or podium sprint. You get 2 laps and you're done. Whereas at least with GTA, it's the whole weekend, so it doesn't matter if you do it on the first session or the last session. You have every session to do what you need to do. But we've built this car with an 8-gallon fuel cell in it, so I don't have the ability to go make more than 4 laps. So that's where another thing where needs to change is put a bigger fuel cell in it so I can get seat time and get laps and because it seemed like like when I ran at 35 at Sonoma, I think that was last year, was the last session of the day on like lap 7. So
Oh,
I just, it lets me get in that rhythm, and then I click that lap off, where I just I do struggle a bit with the shootout stuff, and I don't know how this weekend works with Southwest Speed. Um, they have a shootout Saturday night,
mm.
but I don't know. There's like a point system for each session. Where you finish, you get points, and the shootout gets points. So I don't really know how it works, but I feel like I hear the word shootout, and I'm about to shoot myself in the foot again.
Well, Ryan, you've got a commute to figure that out. So maybe you want to get that sorted before you show
Yeah,
up, so you can
yeah.
kind of figure out what the strategy is.
I gotta figure out a way to to do that in the sim, where like you get 2 laps, you know, and then reset it or something. Yeah, I don't know, but
Yeah.
I honestly think that, once you really start digging into that data stuff, I think the data is really going to help you move that needle faster, and really let you put down those laps in a quicker level. But I understand, like, the rhythm portion of it is also a huge portion,
yeah,
and that's tough because, um, one thing that I tended to do very well, was just go out and run the very first one and do that, you know,
right.
that first session, and I'd be like, "Dude," and if I could I always was chasing after that first session from that point on, and that was the toughest part, was then you were chasing, and it was just tough.
Yeah,
Um,
yeah. Well, that was like when we went to Thunderhill West last year. I set that lap was the first session, and probably the second lap, first or second lap, first session, and like you said, we spent the rest of the day just and never went faster, just chasing it, you
yeah.
know. But
Yeah.
you try. I mean, you try and try and try, but yeah, it's
That's where you see those lights, and then you just start getting pissed.
Yeah. Yeah.
if you don't have lights, you can't get pissed.
That's true. That's true. So
Yeah.
outside of the engine stuff, any other changes or any other things you're looking at doing to improve lap times other than driver mods, any other car mods?
Well, the list is always it's always long. It's always
Uh,
like what
let's hear it. Let's hear
what
it. What
what's
are some of your dreams?
well, one thing that is happening is I'm putting a better radiator in it. Even even with this, just the stock crate motor, we're still seeing like 220, 230 water temp. So obviously
All right,
the radiator, it just not working well enough.
that's
Um,
boring. Give us something
but-
good.
well, how about a solid axle?
What?
So, okay. All right. All
Yeah,
right.
yeah. Um, yeah, I don't know. Like, I
What are
just
you
look at
running in there currently? Like, I mean, I feel like generally when people go to LSs or anything like that, they usually do what, like the Ford 8.8 or something like that.
yeah. So I had a Ford 8.8 in it
Okay.
for a couple years. It has a winter's quick change in it right now, so it's got a 10-inch winter's independent quick change, um, drive shaft shop, 900 horsepower axles. It's got their billet hubs in it, um, and it's all stock geometry stuff in the back and the front. They're just tubular control arms that I built. Um, but I
So,
just look at
so sorry, you'll have to remind me of the Miata rear end. Is it a wishbone, or is it
double,
a
double,
like a multi-link or something?
double wishbone. Yeah, double
Double
wishbone front.
wishbone. Okay.
Yeah.
Go.
Uh,
y- Uh, you and very few other people are probably ones that are going from a double wishbone to a solid axle.
yeah. I I look at things. Um, that's what we grew up racing, was legend cars and roadsters, and they have welded spider gears and solid axles. Um, whether that's right or wrong or fast or slow or whatever, it's what I know best. And that was kind of the
Okay.
reason why I went back to the spool, because those cars I grew up racing, they always had locked axles. It's always a live axle. And I know it. I've spent many years racing. We're very successful in the roadster stuff. So it's like, I feel like if we just keep going back to, we've tried things, I tried the typical Miata spring package that people run, the 1,500-pound springs up front and the 1,200-pound springs in the back, all these things. And I'm not saying they don't work. Obviously they work. Ryan Passey's car is fast. Emilio's car is fast. Like, they're fast, but I'm going back to soft stuff because that's what we know. That's what we've ran. Um, I feel like the solid axle stuff is far less complex. Parts are a lot cheaper. Uh, for like the axles in the car right now, if I pop an axle, it's $1,100 from Drive Shaft
Phew.
Shop.
Yeah.
And from my understanding is they don't even offer the billet hubs and stuff anymore that I'm currently running. So if I break a hub, I don't know what the solution is. Whereas if we spend the time and we do it right and we put a narrowed solid axle in the back of the car, more parts become more readily available and cheaper. Um, it's to me, it's like I built the rear subframe, I built the control arms. There's nothing wrong with them, but it's just it's the custom parts that's hard to, I can't, if I break that control arm, I don't have another one on the shelf. I can just pop in there and away we go. Whereas in my mind, the more parts we can use from the circle track world, the late models and use NASCAR parts, I feel like the better off we are because those parts they're tried and true, they're available, they're readily available, and they're cheap. Um, and obviously there's nothing, you know, uh, a solid axle car is still fast. I think a lot of people underestimate, solid axle setups. Um, they can work, just like anything else. It takes time and laps and getting stuff dialed in.
Understanding. It
And
takes a level of
right,
understanding, and if you
right,
have that level of understanding,
right.
and I really I appreciate you talking about the availability. A car that I was super, super excited to see out at Sydney, at World Time Attack this year. They went there and, you guys have to remind me, but they broke,
I
a
know,
part
I
that
know.
they said it was. Yeah, they said it was from an Indy car, I believe, a
Yeah,
transmission,
yeah. It's
and
got it's
it was
got all
one
the
of those
Indy
things where I
parts.
was like,
Yeah,
yeah, and it's one of those things where I'm like, stuff like that. It's like, that's so cool. I'm glad it's using it. It makes it really trick and sweet and awesome. I love it. But it's like, not another soul has that at
no,
that event,
no,
right?
no.
Right.
And they
Yeah,
don't
you're,
have
you're
two.
right. You're going home. Then that's where. Yeah, I mean, I look at things of serviceability, what we can get, availability, and at the end of the day, cost. You know what I mean?
Yep.
Like,
Huge. You have to. You have to
yeah,
realistically think about those things.
it's the stuff is. I mean, it's already hard to justify as it is when we're spending the money that we're spending. But if we could cut that cost down, just a fraction, it would help substantially. But I yeah, I don't know. It's the biggest thing that I kind of holds me back about really pulling the trigger on thinking about doing that solid axle even more is I already get it a lot as it is. Like, oh, that's not a Miata, because it's got an LS in it, yada yada yada. And even though I can explain it a million times, like, and just like a Global Time Attack, I took a stock control arm that we found at a junkyard and bolted it in
Yeah.
the car. You know what I mean?
Yep.
There's stock
Yep.
spindles, there's stock knuckles, there's stock geometry, they're off the shelf shocks. Yeah, it's got tubular sway bars in it, spline sway bars, but at the end of the day, it's still all Miata geometry, a Miata rack. You know, it, if I put a stick axle in it, then it's gonna be like now it's, it takes more away than I think people give it credit for. But
I'm going to say this. I want to see you make this car your own. And I think it goes back to what you were saying. This stuff like this is things that you understand and that you know how to tune and that that you can work with. Go down that path. There's a reason, and don't get me wrong. Maybe you go down this whole path and you go, yeah, that was slower. That didn't work.
Yeah,
And then you go back. But it's the adventure. It's the adventure that's the fun part.
Yeah.
The path less taken makes it more entertaining. And it's like do it. Like go have some fun, do it. I love it. I love that thought concept of just like
and
I think I can do it.
That's so much enjoyment and fun of doing this is also the build side of it. You know what I mean? Like, the hours that we've spent building this thing and building the cage and, all the stuff that goes into it. That's, the racing and the going on the track and the hanging out and barbecuing and, going fast. Yeah, that's awesome. But the build is also still, that's so enjoyable to do. And it's, when you could sit back and go, we built this thing, and then to take something like, putting a solid axle in it and to look at that and go, well, we really built that because there ain't no kit for that. and then it's even sweeter if it works and it goes, and you end up going faster. So, I just I've been really mulling over the last couple of days. Like, man, it'd be pretty sweet. And I don't think it'd be. I mean, don't get me wrong. It's gonna be work, but I don't think it's too much work. Honestly, the biggest thing would be just making sure that, wherever we put the the 4-link mounts in the chassis, they have to be, rock solid, because that tears out, you're going to have a bad day.
Yeah.
So that's, honestly, it's just getting the mounts welded in the chassis, and we have a solid axle quick change out of a stock car that we can get narrowed. And the cool thing about the solid axle stuff that a lot of people don't know is they can actually camber the ends of the tubes, and so it's a solid axle, yeah, but it's still cambered just like an independent rear end.
Didn't know
So
that.
yeah, I know. That's I think so many people hear solid axle and they go, oh, look at this piece from 1960. There's a lot of trick stuff that goes on, and I think a lot of people have that thought process just for circle track stuff in general. It's like, oh, these hillbillies are just running around in circles. What do they know? If you sit down and look at a late model stock car, you'd go, why aren't we running these things on road courses? Because they're a trick. They're state of the art pieces, truly. And that's where I get. I think I get a lot of my thought processes, like, what are those guys doing? How can we incorporate that into our car? And just and hopefully make it work, make it faster.
Well, that's why there is the saying, it's not stupid if it works, right?
Yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely.
I have at it, man. Absolutely. Give it a shot. And like Jaeger said, right? It's better to try something and then figure out, okay, yeah, that did not work. And we'll go either back to what we had, or we're going to do something else. I mean, that's part of building the car. So I guess, you mentioned, so there could be one other thing that could really help you pick up some time, which is, earlier you mentioned you run Hoosiers.
Correct.
So you excited about the new R8, A8, the new compound? You got your hands on some of those? You've looked into them or anything?
Yeah, I'm always excited until I see the price. The A8's like $200 more tire than the A7, so I was like, that's pretty stout.
What's funny is I hadn't looked at the price yet, because I didn't know. Like, $200 more.
Yeah. I looked at them because I was like, yeah, I'm gonna get a set, and then I'm like, I don't think I'm gonna get a set right now. And
And what size do you run?
It's a 295 35 15.
You still running 15s on that thing, man?
Oh, Yeah. Hell yeah, I am. 15's on a Miata. It's just how it should be. I mean, that's how it's intended.
All right. I'm just
Yeah.
saying,
Yeah. Yeah. Hey, I
17s, 18s, there might be some gain there.
yeah, there might be, but I could. No, I think I'm stuck on 15s. I just I don't know. It's I got I got no I have zero desire to ever put a 17 or 18 underneath the Miata. If I'm gonna do that, I'm gonna go get a Corvette or something. You know what I mean? I
Okay.
don't know. Yeah.
I got you. Fair enough, man. Fair
Yeah.
enough.
Yeah.
All
So
right, Ryan.
So
I did look.
what are you thinking about running for tires? I mean, I don't know how much of a supply there is left of R7s. What
Well, we're gonna have to
what
go
are you
to.
thinking about
We'll
doing?
have to go to the A8. I mean, there's no way around it. I'm just gonna have to just you know buck up
Sack
and
up at
buy.
one point.
Yeah. It
Yeah.
just I was thinking about so I normally get tires through trackdaytire.com. Those guys are always super helpful. They always have stuff in stock, but he's back east. So I was looking at Tire Rack just for this event this weekend, and because I can get them next day from Tire Rack if we need them. And when I was on their website, it said the A7 is discontinued, so there is no way around the
Woo!
A8 R8. So
Okay. Yeah, it's coming.
it's coming. Yeah, there's no way around it. So I didn't buy tires. Uh
Run what you
I
got.
just yeah, I feel like it would have been a waste. I've never been to that track, so to put a set of stickers on, it just if I'd been there 20 times and I know what I'm doing, and I know where I'm going, yeah, I can justify buying tires, but not for somewhere I've never been to before. So I got takeoffs from GTA that we ran on Sunday, and then takeoffs from the podium sprint for Grid Life. So we'll make them work. But
I feel you. I feel
yeah.
you, man. So I
What
got a quick question for you though.
Yep.
What is your favorite time attack track? I actually think I know the answer to this one already, but I'll let you answer.
I would love to see an event at Sonoma.
Oh, I did
Yeah.
not think that.
Yeah.
You
What did
talked
you think?
so much about Button Willow. I thought you were going with Button Willow all the way.
Oh hell no, no,
yeah. Yeah.
no. I mean, nothing. No, uh, I just love Sonoma. That's my favorite track. I would run there every weekend if we could. Um,
Okay.
I feel like
What
it's
what makes it
uh,
so good? Yeah, give us your breakdown of it. What does it have?
it has obviously incredible elevation changes. Um, you don't get a break there. Between climbing 6 stories up to turn 2 and 3 and 3A and down into the carousel, and going through the S's. It just, to me, it has so much of everything that you there's never a point on that track where you're like, man, I could I could get my sip of coffee, going down the straightaway or whatever. Like you're you're always wheeling around that track. Um, it's just, to me, truly, it has, like, it's got the best facilities. It's got the best garages. It has the best showers for people that, like us, we sleep in the trailer. You know, um, I think it's the best spectator track because there's bleachers everywhere. You got the grandstands on the front straightaway. Uh, I don't know. I've always really enjoyed that track. Uh, I don't know why they don't do more time attack stuff there. I don't think it suits a time attack car well. It's not going to suit a 1200 horsepower car very well because you can't. There's no straightaway long enough to be able to roll in the power like that.
I mean,
So
but that's what I like about tracks like that, though, is because
uh,
I like it
I
because it's the equalizer.
that's why I like it too. Yeah, because you can't rely on that horsepower to get the job done. You have to
You
drive
got
it.
to wheel the
But
thing.
right, but then that goes back to, like, what's time attack about? Is it about the fastest car, or is it about the fastest driver? And I think the time attack is, in my opinion, I think it's looked at as who's building the fastest car, and obviously the fastest car is going to be something that can go 185 miles an hour down the front straightaway at Buttonwillow, and obviously it still has to make the corner, but there's so much time made up just in straightaway speed that a track like Sonoma, that you're not going to get that. A track like Thunderhill East, that'd be a good mile per hour track because obviously it's so flowy, the front straightaway is so long, you can get out of turn 15. When we ran before it pushed the remain seal out in one lap, the first green flag lap that I made with that big motor in the car last year, we're seeing 168 miles an hour down the front straightaway in one lap. So
And
with
that was at Thunderhill East?
that was in Thunderhill East. So it's like,
Wow.
with more time and getting the gearing right and everything, situated, in my Miata, that's probably seeing 175 miles an hour. So a track like Thunderhill East, I think, would be a good track for, the big horsepower cars, the cars that are really high aero dependent type stuff. And I think I look at Sonoma like I just think it's the answer for everything. I don't know.
Okay.
I'd
So
go. I'd
would
go
you consider would you consider Sonoma like an aero track, like a more a higher aero package track?
It definitely helps, yeah, because if you
Okay.
can get it, if you can get your stuff to work through the S's, if you can get it, when you get in turn 10, turn 10 is a incredibly fast turn entering, and if you can roll through 10 into 11, yeah, it's definitely an aero dependent track. It's just I don't think it's not a horsepower track, where obviously Thunderhill is both, and even Buttonwillow is both, horsepower, aero. The ability to go through Riverside at 120 miles an hour is key. You know, um,
Yeah. I will say, and I've said this before, but I'll say it again. I going out there for this year's 2025 GTA Finals. I was surprised the how high of an average speed Buttonwillow has.
no, it's fast track.
It's a fast track. Yeah, it is
Fast,
a fast
yeah,
track.
yeah, yeah. I was, and it's it's funny because it's like as as bad as the surface is and as bad as the grip levels are, the speed is still fast. Like it's an incredibly fast track. Yeah, yep. I mean, you're rolling through the S's at you know, I, going into Sunset, we're on the limit at 146, 147 miles an hour. It's a scooting track, that's for sure. But, yeah, no, I don't think, I think Laguna's a cool track for time attack. Um,
It's a cool
it's got
venue.
a little bit, it's got a little bit of different, it's got a little bit of mix of everything too. It's got the long straightaway. You know, it's got some sharp turns. It's got some bank stuff, but I think it's just a terrible venue. The paddock is straight out of 1950s. The facilities are archaic. It's just boy,
Well, I think it's a great venue in the sense of I like the historic factor of Laguna
yeah,
Seca.
yeah, right. But
I like the venue for that portion.
right. But I like to go to Sonoma and like this stuff was built 20 years ago and it's nice and new and not thrashed. It's like you could just I don't know. It just to me it's just a better place. But and
Yeah.
I think so many people get caught up on the corkscrew at Laguna.
Yeah.
It's like I remember the first time I did it, I'm like, you're oh man, the corkscrew, the corkscrew, the corkscrew, and then you do it and you're like, oh okay, now it's just a track like every other track. But
Yeah, yeah, that's fair. That's fair. I get it. Well, if you want to check out some really phenomenal facilities, you should go check out Mid Ohio sometime.
Mid
If you think
Ohio,
Laguna is archaic,
we're going
Mid
that
Ohio,
way. Yeah.
it'll rival. Yeah, for sure,
But
for
isn't
sure.
that the biggest event that Grid Life puts on is Mid Ohio?
No, that's Gingerman.
Yeah.
Ginger.
For Midwest Midwest Fest.
Oh,
Yeah.
okay, Midwest Fest. Okay,
Yeah.
okay,
Yeah. Yeah. So Gingerman is very much similar to a Button Willow in terms of a
okay.
club track, right? Not a ton of facilities, not a ton of, there's a few, there's really not even that many garages.
Right.
A lot of people are parking on grass, for the paddock, things like that. But again, it's
It's Button Willow.
it's it is yeah, it's Button Willow in terms
Right.
of, right, there's a lot of history, and people have a fondness there because of all of the events and the memories that they have there,
Right.
which creates a lot of the lore. So
Well, I think that's what's so much, you know, with Button Willow. I think that's Button Willow, is it has so much, that was the and I missed all that, the early days of the time attack at Button Willow, but I just heard all the stories of that was the event for time attack in America. Like,
yeah,
now it's a shame to see the participation as low as it
Don't
is, but um I think that's why that track still holds dear to so many people, is
absolutely
is just,
100%.
we all want to shoot for that record of going sub 40 at Button Willow,
yeah,
because
yeah.
that's what it's known for. But
It it still in many ways holds the benchmark. I think you can make a very reasonable argument that it still
yeah,
holds the
yeah,
benchmark for most time attack
yeah.
cars.
And honestly, if they resurfaced it and paved, we'd see fast freaking lap times. I tell you
Oh gosh,
what,
yeah, yeah,
sub sub 40 would be be attainable by so many people. I think, just to be able to have the
yeah,
grip levels of any other track that we go to would be incredible. But
yeah.
that's another time.
Ain't that the truth? Well, Ryan, I must say it's been a joy having you on the show, man. Love having you
Appreciate it.
on. Love hearing new ideas about cool, interesting things you could do to a Miata. Love hearing about how adventurous you are and how much you like to play in the dirt and catch on fire.
Man,
Um, and just overall, just loved every bit of just understanding what your program, and what you have to offer, and your excitement for racing as a whole. Uh, Kilgore, I'll throw it over to you, man. You got any other questions to throw Ryan's way?
I get Ryan. What does obviously we've talked about Southwest Speed Fest going on. You are leaving very shortly to head out there, less than about 24 hours or so.
right.
We of course wish you the best of luck. This episode will come out after that, but we're looking forward to seeing how you do there, and hopefully that event continues to grow.
Yeah,
What
absolutely.
else do you have? What else do you have planned for this year, for 2026?
Well, to be honest with you, nothing. That was kind of the one and done deal that I was planning on doing this year. Just my plan was to get through Southwest Speed Festival, and then get to working on the car, and just kind of get it stripped down. Because obviously our winter wasn't much of a winter. We went from GTA to Southwest, so all the things that I want to do, we just put on the back burner. So my kind of goal is to get through Southwest Speed Festival, and then start cutting away. I think. I don't know. I don't know. As much as I want to, I mean, I'd love to go do the NorCal Miata Championship. Get on track with those guys and support them, and maybe help that program grow. Um, but I still want to do the things that we want to do with the car for the bigger events that we want to do as well. So it's kind of, I guess if I had two cars, we can do both. But I just
If
got
only.
I just got the one.
Oh, we always need more cars. We all need more cars.
We all need more cars, but yeah. So I don't know. We'll see. Maybe whatever route we choose with the engine package or the turbo package will kind of determine um, what we do for the rest of the season. Obviously, if
Okay.
if the turbo is involved, then that's going to be a lot of fab work and getting that stuff dialed in. Um, I really don't want to. My thing is, I don't want to work getting the turbo stuff put in, and then let's just say we get it in the car by August. Well, I don't want to go to grid life with an untested monstrosity.
That's a
Especially
lot of money to spend for
it's a
a test
lot of
session.
exactly, and that's how that's where I think if we go turbo, it's going to be the rest of the year. We'll take off and then maybe hit some of the smaller events and just work into it. I think if we keep it all motor, then it's like we kind of know what we're working with, and we could go to possibly do grid life or GTA later in the year. I would like I don't know. I'd like to go do, because Global Time Attack is doing Thunder Hill East and the Ridge, which I'd like to go try the Ridge, but I'd definitely like to go do Thunder Hill as well. So it's like, I don't know, you get all these, you want to do all these different things, but you still want to do the projects that you want to do. So it's like,
Yeah.
If time and money was unlimited, then we could do it all, right?
Ain't that the
Absolutely,
truth?
absolutely. If so if people want to follow along with your build and kind of see what you're up to and see what you end up deciding to do with all these ideas you got floating around in your head, where can they keep up with you on social media?
Instagram is probably the best. I will say I am not the best at keeping stuff updated and pictures posted and videos posted, but
Keep taking pictures and posting videos, man. We're all clamoring for it. So keep us posted.
I can't even tell you the last time I posted something, but
Come on, baby.
I know. So yeah, my Instagram's probably the best. It's Ryan R _18 for my Instagram. That's where probably 90% of the stuff is anyways.
Okay.
I do have a YouTube, but it's mainly just I just
Fast
edit.
lap?
Yeah, I just edit the fastest lap, so it's not really much to see on that. But yeah, the Instagram's got it's got basically the whole build of when we started with this chassis and the cage work and all that good stuff, motor plate and all that neat stuff. So
all right. Well, we will link Ryan's Instagram and his social media, and we'll link the YouTube into this for all of the viewers and listeners. So if you guys want to follow Ryan, you can do that. Just check the links out, or you can check him out at Ryan R _18 for Instagram and get to everything else.
Yep.
For us, for the podcast, you can make sure and you follow us on Instagram as well. You can find us at Perfect Lap Podcast. If you want to email the show, you can email us at maximumattack@perfectlappodcast.com. That's one word, maximumattack@perfectlappodcast.com. You can check out our website. That is perfectlappodcast.com. Ryan, we are so glad that you came on. Looking forward to kind of seeing the next phase of this build. Version 2.1 maybe, or 2.5 if that's what you want to call it. So thank you for coming on.
Yeah.
Absolutely. You can find our episodes on YouTube, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, and Amazon Music. As always, thanks for listening. We hope you enjoyed this episode with Ryan. For all you time attackers out there, keep pushing, go fast, take chances. We'll see you in the next one.